Hey guys, it's Mary Angelina back again with another baking slash cooking video. Today I'm going to be baking Attack of the Chocolate Chunk Muffins out of the Hunger Games unofficial cookbook by Emily and Sarah Baines. You can find it at Barnes& and Noble or on Amazon. I got mine on Amazon. I was really inspired to make these muffins because yesterday I really wanted to bake something, but I hadn't been to the grocery store in a while. And I was like, you know what? I wonder if I can make something sweet out of my cookbook with what I have in my house. And luckily, I had just enough stuff to make these, so I whipped them up really quick in the kitchen really quick. It took more like an hour. But it was worth it. They were really delicious. They were really fluffy, and they were not dry at all. So let's get into making them. First, I started with I had to melt some chocolate chips. You're supposed to use a double boiler according to the recipe, but I don't have a metal or a glass bowl that I can do that with. And I just did it in the microwave. I just put a cup of chocolate chips, and I was going to melt them in this custard bowl because I love these little custard bowls. You can get them on Amazon too. Just search custard dessert bowls. I was going to make it in that, and then I realized how big a cup really is. So I decided to get a somewhat bigger mug or bowl to put them into. So I put them into the Starbucks mug, and I microwaved it at 30-second intervals. I think I did it about 3 or 4 times, stirring the chocolate in between each 30 seconds. And then I was multitasking while I was doing that. I was setting up my dry ingredients. So this was some flour. I measured out some flour. I think I cut the flour part out on accident. Oops. But this is some baking soda. We're just going to go in with all the dry ingredients, and then we're going to whisk it. And I'll try to put the full recipe and the full ingredients that I used in the description. And then I went in with some baking powder. I think it was flour, baking soda, baking powder, salt. Here I'm going in with, I think it was a teaspoon of kosher salt. It just said salt, but I had kosher salt. And then it was 2/3 of a cup of milk. I pre-measured the milk because when I went to see if I had the ingredients for it, I was like, oh my god, I don't have enough milk. And so I measured it out ahead of time because if I didn't have enough, then I couldn't have made it. But I did have enough. I barely had enough. I had little less than 1 cup, so I did have enough to make this. So I pre-measured it, and then to this I'm gonna add a teaspoon of let me whisk that first. So I'm supposed to whisk that, and then into the milk I'm going to add 1 teaspoon each of vanilla and almond extract. The almond extract. Oh, I'm talking too fast. The almond extract was really good. Like, it really brought out the flavor of the chocolate, and it was really good. It made the batter smell like almonds. It smelled nutty, and when I broke the first muffin in half when it was still warm and I was trying it, when I was eating it, it smelled so almondy and chocolatey. It smelled like a chocolate-covered, cocoa-dusted almond, and it smelled really good. So here I went in. I'm almost done putting in my extracts, and then I'm going to whisk that together. You can see how the vanilla extract turned the milk into, it looks like a coffee or like an espresso with latte. And the almond extract doesn't have any color, it's just clear. But the vanilla extract turned it a little darker color, which I really like. And it smelled really good too. So I'm going to put that milk to the side. I whisked it with the extract, so I put that to the side. And now I'm going to go in with 1 stick of softened, unsalted butter. I kind of made these on a whim, so I just quickly softened the butter in the microwave. I microwaved the stick for about 13 to 14 seconds, or 15, I don't remember. But not too much to where it starts melting, because you don't want it to melt. But I just put it, I just softened it. And then you can see me struggling with the brown sugar here. I believe this was 1 cup of brown sugar. But making this video and doing this recipe last night inspired me to go on Amazon and buy some bigger containers that I can put my brown sugar, flour, whole wheat flour, and white sugar in. That way it's easier to get out of the container and they're airtight. So as you can see, I'm still struggling here to get the brown sugar. And it's just a little more complicated with brown sugar because you have to pack it in. You have to make sure that there's no air pockets or anything. And then this part is where I kind of messed up because the recipe just says to beat them together and that it might be a little labor intensive and it might be a little bit hard. And I was like, oh, beat like with a whisk, or can I use my hand mixer? And I really wish I used my hand mixer because I had to go back in a couple times with the knife and scrape out all the butter from the inside of the whisk. I really wish I used my hand mixer, but by the time that I was like really wishing that I used my hand mixer, I was almost done. And it's like, well, I can't really go back now, and my paddles on my hand mixer were dirty, so I couldn't even do that. So I fast forwarded, I skipped the part where I was really struggling, and I just skipped to the end. So here I am, almost done. And then the recipe called for 2 eggs. I'm going to whisk in 1 at a time. So I'm going to crack 1 egg and then beat it in with the whisk into the batter. Now it's actually that white bowl I was using with the flour, I actually should have put the brown sugar and the butter and the eggs in that bowl because I didn't realize that everything was gonna end up putting into this gray bowl, and it was like almost too small, and I was like, ah, but I made it work. So I really wish that I switched the bowls. And here I go with the second and last egg. I took a little break to wash the egg off my hands really quick, and then I went back. Here I'll show you I'm whisking the egg in. And this smelled really good. It smelled sugary and buttery. It was really good. It smelled really good. I forgot what I was doing in this next part. Oh yeah, this next part I was slowly in steps folding in the melted chocolate. You're supposed to use chocolate chunks and chocolate chips, and I was like, where do I get chocolate chunks? And I only had chocolate chips on hand. I was like, you know what, that'll work. So I used half the chocolate chips, I melted them. Then the other half, you'll see later, I folded in the whole chocolate chips into the batter. So I'm going to be putting in the chocolate, and I'm going to be mixing that in. And then after that, I'm going to go in with the milk and the dry ingredients. Yep, so I'm just going to finish incorporating all this chocolate in a minute. And then next we're going to come in with the dry flour mixture and the milk and the extract mixture. Just going to finish incorporating that. As you can see, I'm whisking it all together, making sure everything's all together. And this is the part that it got a little more labor intensive. You're supposed to mix the flour and then whisk it all together, and then some of the milk and whisk it all together, then the flour again. You're supposed to like alternate it. I ended up doing this about 4 times total. I showed the first time and then I showed the last time for the sake of making the video not be too long. Yeah, this is where it started to get a little more labor intensive. So here you can see I'm almost done. As you can see, this bowl is a little bit too small. You can probably, you'll probably agree with me that I should have switched the gray bowl and the white bowl. And the batter got pretty thick. as you can see, that's the last of my milk mixture. Gonna whisk that in. That thinned it a little bit. Okay, so I'm gonna put all my empty bowls to the side. And I was about to prep my muffin pan. And I started prepping my muffin pan, but then I remembered I forgot to fold in the rest of the chocolate chips into the batter, so I'm about to go back in and do that right now. I had a little bit of chocolate left over, I just didn't want it to be too overly sweet. So I have like a 1/4 cup of chocolate chips left over. So I'm going to fold that in. Chocolate chips. I really wanted to just use them all, but then, like I said, I didn't want it to be too sweet, so I stopped there. And then I'm gonna line my muffin pan. I really wish I not just greased the whole thing and then put the muffin liners on. I wish I greased the muffin liners too. I didn't know. I wasn't sure if you were supposed to do that or not, so I didn't do it. But then I had a lot of sticking to the muffins in the end and the liner. And they ended up being pretty crumbly, but they were good. And then as you can see here, I'm going to go in and fill them as evenly as I can. And skip to close to the end here. So I filled all 12 of them, and then I had a little bit left over, so I just took the leftover and I put it into the muffins, the tins that looked like they didn't have as much, to try to get them as even as I could. And then here I'm going to finish filling them. I put them in a 355-degree oven for the recipe said 30 to 35 minutes, and they started to look done around like 26, 27, and I was like, oh, should I pull them out a little bit early? But then I tested them with a toothpick and they were very raw in the middle still, so I ended up putting them in the oven around 32, 33 minutes. And this was the final outcome. They were very moist and delicious. And thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Have a great day, and may the odds be ever in your favor.